Hi, everybody, and welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. I'm Peter Gordon, and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. We're daily money managers, which means we help people pay their bills, we help them process insurance claims, and we do deal with all the non investment side of finance for our clients. And our tagline is Organizing Life's Daily Demands because life throws a lot of stuff at us and we help people take care of that. And one of the things we pride ourselves on is having the ability to refer other professionals who can help people where we can't help them. And that's why I'm here with Lisa Rehburg today. Uh, Lisa, welcome to the group. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And my pleasure. So Lisa works in a often misunderstood and not well known area of life insurance settlement. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about that before we talk about you specifically?
Sure. So 500,000 seniors a year will lapse their life insurance policies. And lapse means they stop making the premium payments and they just walk away from them. And they do that because they don't want them, they don't need them, maybe they can't afford them anymore. You know, what they bought the policy for 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago just isn't a concern anymore. My house is paid off, my kids are gone, or like I said, the policy just doesn't serve its purpose, or they just can't afford it. And they just don't know there's another option. They don't know that a life insurance settlement is an option and it's here.
That's a big number, 500,000 people a year. And so I'm assuming there's some value that they're walking away from.
Yes, exactly. They're going to walk away with little or nothing. So, for instance, if someone has a term policy, there's no cash in the policy, right? We can sell term policies for cash. So, people have zero and now they have money. That last time I checked, that's not a bad thing. Or even if somebody has what a permanent type of policy like universal life or whole life that has cash value, that cash savings component, there's some cash in there. On average, a life insurance settlement will generate 3 to 5 times cash surrender value. And that's so even if someone's going to surrender their policy, please look at a life insurance settlement because there can be significantly greater value there for clients.
And people don't walk away from whole life insurance, which has cash value, do they?
They do, because sometimes what happens is premiums just get too expensive, or as I mentioned before, maybe a spouse has passed away and I don't really need this policy anymore. There's no one I really want to leave it to. I don't have any beneficiaries, or my kids are they're doing fine. They're well off. They don't need this money. So we find clients repurposing this asset to make their life more comfortable while they're here. Because once again, this asset, the life insurance policy, has served its purpose. It's no longer needed. So why not get more money for it than just walking away with little or nothing?
How do you get the word out about the settlement industry?
Well, I'm doing it right now.
That's true.
I am just all about.
And this has a huge audience. Let me tell you, you're going to be overwhelmed with calls because of this podcast.
Well, podcasts stay around for years, Peter, first of all. And second of all, I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to be here, truly, because the more visibility that I can raise for what we do, the more people that learn about what we do, they can talk to their financial advisors. They can talk to you as their daily money manager. They can talk to their insurance agents and start making the right decisions for them and their family. Because what I am not going to say is that selling a life insurance policy makes sense for everybody, because of course it doesn't. But what I like to tell people, because we work with a lot of financial advisors and insurance agents, and what I like to tell people is, look, these policies that we work on are going to be gone, right? One way or another, they're going to be gone. They're either going to be surrendered or they're going to be just let go because they're term policies and the term's coming to the end or whatever. People are going to let them go. So we are a way for people to receive more money for these assets than just letting them go.
It's very interesting. So you get it. Where do your leads come from? Your referrals come from?
They come from all over the place. Anybody that is working with seniors that knows about what we do, keeps an eye and an ear open. But typically, once again, insurance agents, because they work with their clients every day on policies, financial advisors, same thing. It can be CPAs, it can be daily money managers like yourself. Sometimes it's assisted living communities, because we can be another way for clients to fund, assisted living or memory care that they wouldn't have thought of. So many people, I had a really sad situation last week where I was talking to a financial advisor, and a gentleman and his wife. The wife is ill. She does need care, and they just didn't talk to their financial advisor. They just went and surrendered their policies. And I'm like, no, we could have gotten so much more money for them, but we just didn't know that we were here.
Right. Do you know there's a whole industry, and it's pretty much franchised, of people who will buy a territory where they could then sell the services of senior living facilities.
Correct.
And I know a number of people in that world, and one in particular who will be a guest on this. I'll introduce you to,
Right.
because they also, that world, those people really are. It's not just about connecting you with a senior facility. It's really about helping you with anything, and it's really wonderful in the world I'm living in, is that the people in the senior service industries are really concerned about helping others. Yeah, we want to make a living, but we recognize, and we get a lot of pleasure out of helping others, but we're recognizing the benefit, not to ourselves, by being an expert of who knows the other experts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It works for everybody. And I think what you're referring to is senior placement referral specialists.
Thank you.
I do work with them. They're wonderful at what they do. Their
Do you know
service is
Senior
so
Authority?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And that's who I know a couple of people that, like I said, I'll connect you with.
That would be fantastic.
I'm also, our business is going well, and we're looking to expand. I'm thinking of bringing somebody else in to help with that. And he was saying that he spoke to a friend of his who is a financial advisor who's been doing it for 35 years, and he has all these clients that are aging out, that are getting older, and they need help, So the world of experienced financial advisors is also one where we could tap into to try to help other people.
That's exactly right. We work with financial advisors every day, and they come into. I'll give you a couple examples. There are universal life policies, permanent type of policies we were talking about, that are what we insurance geeks call imploding or blowing up. So these policies have been in existence since the 90s, sometimes early 2000s. And during that time, these policies were illustrated, projected, if you will, to have that cash grow at a certain rate, usually 5, 6, 7%, because that's the interest rate environment we were in back then. We're not in that interest rate environment today, and we haven't been for 15, 20 years, right? So the illustration.
So the investment itself was targeted to fixed income?
No, it wasn't. In that this is what the policy was projected to increase at a certain percentage, right? That the insurance company every month, or whatever their timing is, would give the client whatever that interest rate is. 4, 5, 6%, because at the time that was what the interest rate, right?
Right. And we know that the interest rates have been 1%, if that much.
That's correct. And they haven't been, because those were not guaranteed interest rates. That just happened to be the going rate at the time. Well, the going rate is not that, right? It's like 2%, 3%. So what's happening is these policy premiums that were expected to grow to here, the cash values haven't. They've grown to here. And as we get older, the cost of insurance goes up, and so that cash value has shrunk.
Wow.
And so that's why we say they're imploding or blowing up. People have to put more cash in the policies to continue them. So example, client in Florida, because we do business nationwide, $250,000 universal life policy, had $15,000 of cash in it. He knew that it was going to get chewed up very, very quickly. He had a couple months left before it was gone. And his decision is, do I surrender this policy and get $15,000 out, or do I look at selling it? And fortunately, his financial advisor says, look at selling it, because at least you can figure out which way is going to be best for you. And he just got a wire transfer of $90,000. So last
Nice.
time I checked, 90 is better than 15.
You never know in the world today. So what's the difference between whole life and universal?
Well, I will tell you this, Peter, I am not a life insurance expert. And so I'm going to suggest to people to talk to the life insurance expert.
Okay,
I'm a
fine.
life settlements expert.
Gotcha. That's great. Yeah, no, just to confuse it a little more, I know there's variable life as well, but
There,
we'll
there
certainly
is.
have. I have a friend who's my agent, who's wonderful, and he'll be on there as well.
Perfect.
So that was interesting. That was my wife saying goodbye, not knowing that we're in a podcast. That's the world we live in these days.
That is.
So listen, tell me, you said that you're an insurance geek, and tell me about yourself and what your background, because I'm sure, like most of us, you did not want to do this your whole life, and it kind of came about in some interesting way.
Yes, I was born and raised in a machine shop, literally, not a joke. My dad had, and I worked in that machine shop till I was 18 years old, graduated high school, and my dad said, all you know is me, and my world. You should get a job, somewhere
Where was
else.
this?
In California, Southern California. And so I got a job while I was going to college, part-time job, as we all do, or most of us do anyway. And I was a file clerk at an insurance third-party administrator. And that is where it started. I've been in the insurance business over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yes.
It's
different than a machine shop.
Yeah, very, very. You ever go back to the machine shop?
I do. My father passed away about 7 years ago. He had sold the shop probably about 4 or 5 years prior. So, but up until that time, yes, I would always stop in. And
what was he making?
He was doing custom. So he had lasers, he had punch presses, he had NC punch presses. If anyone's a metalworking geek, you'll know what these are. He had lathes, he had just all different types of. He had bending equipment. It was really custom work. He actually had parts that went up in the space shuttle. So I'm so proud of him and what he's accomplished.
That's great. I have a cousin who has a company called Metal Cutting Inc. And he does work with the Defense Department. It was his dad's business. And he likes to say that we make itsy bitsy teeny weeny pieces of metal that are used all over the world.
Yeah, that's about right. When I was little, there's a picture of me, but when I was about 4 years old, there's a picture of me in front of what's called a four slide. And my dad at the time, so obviously this is a while ago, was making staples. And so my job was to press the red button. Obviously I didn't do this for very long, right? And child labor laws, but my job was to press the red button if the material got stuck. That's how I started. There's my career in the machine shop.
Right. And how did you come about finding life settlements?
That's a good question. So for my 30 years in the insurance business, I have been working with insurance agents and brokers and financial advisors that entire time. And I was in corporate. I had built divisions. I had VPs, upper management for carriers and third-party administrators. And it was time for me to not be in an airport every week. That's just, I'm lifetime titanium with Marriott for a reason. It was just time to not do that. And I found life settlements. I love it because I can work with the insurance agents and financial advisors and brokers that I know and love, and give them something additional to help their clients. And also it can be a revenue source for them as well. So it's a beautiful thing for everybody. But since then, the business has grown to, like I mentioned, daily money managers and CPAs, and just because we're here to help everybody, right? We're here to help our clients, and it's a privilege to do so, and we're just honored to do it.
Right. And what's so interesting is how we met, which was through LinkedIn, and the ability that we have now to meet other people, and in order for us to help our clients and to get information out, I was kidding around when I said, the thousands of people watching this, watching this podcast or listening to this podcast or watching the video. But the fact is that it's all about getting information about yourself out there so others can find you somehow. And it's hard, and like the benefits of being in a narrow world like daily money management or life settlements,
Right.
um, because there's not a whole lot of competition necessarily. At the same time, it's not easy for people to find us, and so that's kind of why we're doing this podcast, is to help both myself and our guests to get content up on the web and utilize that.
Well, because we're both here to help clients, right? So
In the end, that's what it's about.
that's exactly what it's about. And it's about having clients find out about our services, because you and I are both needed services, obviously different worlds, but we're both needed services. So I'm just, once again, happy to be here to be able to raise visibility for sure.
Yeah.
And I was privileged. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I said I was privileged to be able to speak at the national conference for the American Association of Daily Money Managers a couple of months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That was virtual.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward. I didn't go to the virtual conferences, but I've been to, since I started this. I've been to every one, for the last, I guess, the previous 5 years. It's a great conference. It's there's so much to be learned, and there are not too many of us. I mean, there are about 600 members of the association, so it's great being able to get together. And again, it's people who are doing this because they want to help others.
That's right.
So that's great. Well, this was wonderful, Lisa. I really appreciate the time that you gave, and I'll certainly be thinking about you, and I'll do a couple of those referrals, and I look forward to talking to you again. So thanks a lot.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it, Peter.
You're welcome.